Welcome to English Pronounce Pro.
Yes, a warm welcome to everyone.
We often discuss English learning.
We highlight differences in real life
And school English, with rigid structures.
That's right, and our focus is pronunciation.
Today, we dive deeper into this topic.
We're comparing school English
And how we use English daily.
This is a crucial distinction, isn't it?
Why is this topic important now?
Many learners face this significant gap.
They sometimes feel unprepared.
Yes, even after years of study.
Our channel helps bridge that gap.
We aim for real-world fluency,
Especially with clear core pronunciation.
That's our main purpose here.
Let's explore these differences fully.
Truly affects many people.
Who specifically benefits from this?
Students often feel this disconnect deeply.
So, how does this real-world English truly differ?
Real life involves constant, unscripted discussions.
That means no prepared script or lines, right?
Exactly. Conversations unfold without a prior plan.
And that must feel very different from school tasks.
It's entirely spontaneous, fluid, and unpredictable.
No pre-assigned topics, just natural interaction?
Correct. It flows organically from moment to moment.
So, learners must think on their feet constantly.
Quick responses become essential for clear communication.
This requires rapid thought, not just memorization.
Yes, reacting immediately is a critical skill.
Are there specific features of these informal chats?
Definitely. Unplanned speech often uses relaxed grammatical structures.
You mean rules are less strictly followed then?
Precisely. People often shorten phrases or use contractions.
Like instead of I am, it's just I'm?
Yes or gonna for going to. Or wanna for want to.
Does this make comprehension harder for learners?
Initially, yes, because it's less formal than lessons.
So, classroom English might not prepare them for this.
Textbooks often stick to stricter, full grammatical forms.
How can learners adapt to these casual patterns?
Immersion in authentic speech helps normalize them.
Does this relaxed speech also affect how words sound?
It absolutely does. And then we have a spectrum of voices.
A spectrum of voices? What do you mean by that?
In real life, you hear many different global pronunciations.
So, not just the single, clear voice from audio lessons.
No, you encounter various regional and national ways of speaking.
This must present a significant listening challenge.
Indeed. Each person might articulate sounds differently.
So, recognizing words becomes a more complex task.
Yes, Adaptability to diverse vocalizations is key.
Are some types of accents more common or challenging?
Any non-native or regional English can be surprising.
How do learners practice understanding these varied sounds?
Exposure to diverse audio materials is invaluable practice.
Beyond varied sounds, what about the speed of talking?
Those diverse voices also often speak very quickly.
Native speakers certainly seem to talk incredibly fast.
Their natural rhythm involves a rapid rate of delivery.
This must make processing information quite difficult.
It demands quick mental processing from the listener.
So, speed is another significant hurdle for students.
Absolutely. Keeping up with the flow is a challenge.
How does one train for such rapid conversational speeds?
Practicing with real conversations, even short ones, helps.
So, not just listening, but also trying to respond quickly.
Yes, active participation improves rapid comprehension skills.
And these fast conversations often include special phrases, right?
Yes, fast talk frequently incorporates figurative expressions.
You mean things that don't mean exactly what they say.
Precisely. Figurative language is extremely common in daily speech.
Like raining cats and dogs, for example?
That's a perfect example of a widely used expression.
How many of these common expressions are there?
Hundreds, if not thousands, are used regularly.
Memorizing them all sounds like an impossible task.
Contextual understanding is more effective than rote memorization.
So, grasping the overall meaning helps decipher them.
Yes, rather than literal word-by-word translation.
Are there other special terms beyond these expressions?
Absolutely. Specific groups use their own informal terms.
You're referring to things like specialized words, perhaps?
Yes, context-specific jargon and informal slang are prevalent.
So, words particular to certain communities or hobbies.
Exactly. Think about gaming, sports, or office environments.
These terms change frequently, I imagine.
They evolve rapidly and are often very current.
How can learners keep up with such dynamic vocabulary?
Engaging with native speakers in specific contexts helps.
This requires more than just a general vocabulary list.
It needs immersion in real-world communicative situations.
Beyond what's explicitly said, is there more to understand?
Definitely. Real communication includes implicit messages, subtext.
Meaning, understanding what isn't directly stated aloud?
Yes, grasping the underlying implications of statements.
This seems like a much deeper level of comprehension.
It involves reading between the lines, sensing nuances.
So, listening for tone or subtle hints is important.
Exactly. What is left unsaid can be very powerful.
How do learners develop this skill of detecting subtext?
Exposure to natural dialogues and observing interactions helps.
Are there physical cues that aid in understanding this subtext?
Yes, nonverbal signals are crucial in every interaction.
You mean gestures, facial expressions, things like that?
Precisely. Body movement, eye contact, and demeanor communicate.
These cues can reinforce or even contradict spoken words.
They provide valuable context and clarify intentions.
So, learners must also become adept at observing people.
Being observant is as important as listening carefully.
Can these nonverbal signals vary across different cultures?
Absolutely. Interpretation can differ significantly globally.
Therefore, learning to interpret these is another challenge.
It's part of becoming a truly skilled communicator.
When listening to fast speech and nonverbals, should you catch every word?
No, often focusing on the main idea is sufficient.
So, listening for the gist rather than every detail?
Exactly. Catching the primary message is key.
This sounds like a shift from perfectionist listening.
It's a more pragmatic approach to understanding real talk.
So, don't get stuck on a single unknown word.
Focus on the overall flow and the speaker's intention.
How do you practice listening for this general meaning?
Engage with longer conversations like podcasts or interviews.
And try to summarize what was said, even if imperfectly.
Yes, grasping the main points is a valuable skill.
So, understanding the gist helps you respond appropriately?
And adapting your language to the situation is also critical.
You mean changing how you speak depending on who you're with?
Exactly. Changing your language for different situations is vital.
So, being formal at work, but casual with friends?
Yes, adjusting vocabulary and sentence structure accordingly.
This sounds like a complex skill to master in English.
It involves keen awareness of social and professional cues.
So, the same message might be phrased very differently.
Indeed, depending on the recipient and the setting.
How do learners develop this kind of situational awareness?
Observing native speakers in varied contexts provides insight.
This adaptability must help prevent awkward situations.
It certainly does, though misunderstandings still happen.
When those communication breakdowns occur, what then?
Effective strategies for clarifying confusion become paramount.
So, what are some good ways to clear things up?
Asking concise, open-ended questions helps clarify meaning.
Like, could you rephrase that, please?
Or simply, what do you mean by that?
This requires a certain level of confidence, though.
It does, but it's crucial for successful communication.
So, don't be afraid to admit when you don't understand.
Seeking clarification demonstrates active listening and engagement.
This seems especially important in professional settings.
Absolutely. Workplaces have their own specific communication styles.
Professional English surely has distinct demands.
Yes, business jargon and meeting protocols are very specific.
So, vocabulary here is highly specialized for the industry?
Correct. It requires learning industry-specific terminology.
Are the grammar rules more rigidly applied in business settings?
Generally, yes, more precise and formal language is expected.
What about the tone of voice in professional interactions?
It's usually more measured, polite, and persuasive.
So, less room for casual slang and abbreviations.
That's right. Clarity and conciseness are prioritized.
How do people prepare for these professional demands?
Role-playing and studying business communication resources help.
And practice presenting ideas in a clear, structured way.
Yes, focused practice on professional discourse is essential.
Beyond traditional work, what about digital communication?
Social media presents its own unique linguistic landscape.
Abbreviations and emojis are certainly a big part of it.
Yes, online communication has its own set of conventions.
It's a very visual and concise way to communicate.
Character limits and rapid-fire exchanges shape the language.
So, learning to write short, impactful messages is key.
And understanding common acronyms like LOL or by the way.
Does this online language influence face-to-face speech?
Sometimes, it blurs the lines between formal and informal.
How can learners navigate this constantly evolving online world?
Actively participating and observing online interactions is vital.
And this online world includes more than just text, right?
Yes, multimedia comprehension is increasingly important.
You mean understanding podcasts, videos, news broadcasts?
Exactly. Consuming varied audiovisual content is essential.
This means hearing diverse voices and speeds again.
And processing information presented in different formats.
So, not just reading, but truly listening and watching.
Active engagement with diverse media types enhances skills.
Is listening to different accents in videos helpful?
Definitely. It builds adaptability to many speech patterns.
How does multimedia comprehension impact overall learning?
It broadens exposure and makes learning more engaging.
When dealing with all these challenges, what's the ultimate goal?
Ultimately, communicating ideas effectively takes precedence.
So, fluency over absolute grammatical perfection?
Yes, expressing your message clearly is often key.
This sounds like a less stressful approach for learners.
It shifts focus from error avoidance to meaningful exchange.
So, prioritizing being understood above all else.
Exactly. Getting your point across is the main objective.
Does this mean minor errors are acceptable in real talk?
Often yes, as long as the core message is conveyed.
How does this impact how learners practice speaking?
They can focus on conveying meaning without excessive self-correction.
And conveying meaning often includes showing how you feel, right?
Precisely. Expressing feelings naturally is a powerful skill.
So, not just words, but the emotion behind them?
Yes, conveying feelings authentically adds depth to interaction.
This involves choosing the right words to reflect emotions.
And using intonation to emphasize those feelings appropriately.
So, understanding how different cultures express emotions?
It's about matching linguistic and paralinguistic cues.
How can learners become more expressive emotionally in English?
Practicing natural emotional responses in conversations helps.
This means being vulnerable and genuine in the language.
Authenticity fosters stronger, more relatable interactions.
And sharing personal stories helps build those connections.
Yes, spontaneous storytelling is a fantastic way to connect.
Sharing personal anecdotes without prior thought, then.
Exactly. It showcases natural language use and personality.
This sounds like a more advanced communication skill.
It demonstrates comfort and creativity with the language.
So, telling an unplanned story from your life?
Yes, recalling events and narrating them coherently.
How can learners get better at telling stories on the fly?
Regular practice recounting daily experiences verbally helps.
Does storytelling require different styles for different audiences?
It does, leading us to flexible linguistic adjustment.
You mean changing formality based on who you're speaking to?
Yes, being able to adjust your language's formality is key.
So, using more formal language with a boss, casual with friends.
That's the essence of code-switching flexibility in action.
This shows social intelligence in communication.
It reflects an understanding of social situations and expectations.
Is it about choosing specific vocabulary or grammar structures?
Both. It's about selecting appropriate linguistic registers.
How do learners acquire this situational linguistic adaptation?
Observing native interactions across various settings is crucial.
So, seeing how language shifts in different social circles.
This helps build an intuitive sense of appropriate speech.
And these choices often reflect deeper cultural aspects, right?
Absolutely. Understanding cultural implications in language is vital.
So, not just the words, but the cultural meaning behind them?
Exactly. Language is deeply intertwined with cultural norms.
This means understanding unstated rules of interaction.
Yes, negotiating unspoken social conventions is critical.
Like directness versus indirectness in communication?
That's a great example of a significant cultural difference.
How can learners become more sensitive to these nuances?
Engaging with diverse cultural content and people helps.
So, learning about the culture as well as the language.
They are inseparable for truly effective communication.
And these cultural differences can even affect how sounds are produced.
Indeed, pronunciation variations naturally occur in daily talk.
You mean connected speech and reductions are common?
Yes, words blend together, sounds change in natural speech.
Like gonna for the going to, as we mentioned earlier.
That's one example of a reduction in rapid articulation.
And words don't always sound distinct and separate.
Sounds merge across word boundaries, creating connected speech.
This makes listening a different challenge than individual words.
It requires training your ear to these natural patterns.
How can our listeners get better at recognizing these natural shifts?
Listening to authentic audio and mimicking native speakers greatly helps.
So, embracing these natural pronunciation differences is key.
Absolutely. It's part of mastering real-world spoken English.
This whole discussion highlights how different real life is.
The unscripted nature truly contrasts with classroom settings.
It emphasizes dynamic interaction over rote memorization.
And the need for adaptable, spontaneous communication skills.
So, real-world English demands more than just textbook knowledge.
It calls for practical application and cultural awareness.
That's a lot to consider for English learners.
But incredibly rewarding when those skills are developed.
It seems like pronunciation is central to all these aspects.
Clear articulation underpins every communication scenario.
So, practice makes perfect in these real-world scenarios.
Consistent effort leads to confident, effective English.
And overcoming those initial fears is part of the journey.
Embracing the messy reality of spoken language is essential.
It's truly about embracing the unpredictable nature.
And thriving in those dynamic everyday exchanges.
This really clarifies the real-world English landscape.
It's a vibrant, ever-changing environment for learners.
And a valuable goal for everyone learning English.
The benefits extend to all personal and professional interactions.
So, understanding these differences helps learners prepare.
It guides them toward more practical and relevant study.
Focusing on authentic speech makes a real difference.
It bridges the gap between theory and everyday use.
This journey involves continuous learning and adaptation.
It's an ongoing process of growth and discovery.
And a very important step for becoming truly fluent.
Moving beyond the classroom opens up many possibilities.
Thank you for breaking down these complex ideas.
My pleasure. It's vital for learners to grasp this.
It helps set realistic expectations for their progress.
And encourages practical, immersive learning approaches.
So, we're talking about preparing for the unexpected.
Exactly. Language is a living, breathing thing.
And this includes all the nuances we've discussed.
From casual chats to formal business dealings.
It's quite a comprehensive overview today.
Hopefully, it empowers our listeners to explore more.
Absolutely. It gives them a clear path forward.
Toward more confident and effective communication.
So, moving beyond structured lessons to real interactions.
Embracing the rich tapestry of spoken English daily.
And becoming truly competent in varied situations.
That's the ultimate aim for every serious learner.
This understanding is foundational for our next topic,
which will delve into specific strategies for improvement.
Looking forward to that practical application advice.
We'll explore how to navigate these real-world challenges.
And bridge that gap effectively for everyone.
Yes, providing actionable steps for our audience.
So, the journey continues, building on these insights.
Equipping learners for truly authentic English engagement.
This covers a wide range of real-world scenarios.
From quick greetings to detailed professional discussions.
It's about being ready for anything, verbally.
And feeling comfortable in any English-speaking situation.
Thanks for this illuminating discussion today.
It's a crucial distinction for all English learners.
It truly clarifies the real-life part of our topic.
Moving beyond textbook definitions to practical use.
and highlighting why English Pronounce Pro is so relevant.
Because natural pronunciation is key to navigating it all.
Indeed. Our channel directly addresses these needs.
Preparing learners for the dynamic world of English.
Not just school, but every facet of daily life.
That's our mission, helping them speak confidently.
Thank you for this insightful breakdown, Speaker 2.
Always a pleasure, Speaker 1. Glad to share.
Our audience will certainly benefit from these points.
I hope it inspires them to practice more authentically.
It certainly emphasizes the practical side of learning.
And the rich complexity of real human interaction.
This forms a solid foundation for future discussions.
Setting the stage for practical tips and exercises.
It reinforces the need for consistent, varied practice.
And an open mind to different communication styles.
So, embracing the linguistic adventure, not just rules.
Exactly. It's about participation and genuine connection.
Thank you again for this comprehensive exploration.
You're welcome. It's a topic close to our mission.
And one that resonates with many learners globally.
Bridging that gap is what we aim to do every day.
This sets the context perfectly for more practical advice.
We'll dive into building these skills in our next segment.
So, stay tuned for strategies to master real English.
And confidently engage in any unscripted conversation.
This has been extremely enlightening for me.
And hopefully for everyone listening today.
It's a crucial perspective shift for many.
From rigid rules to fluid living language.
Embracing those natural variations becomes less daunting.
When you understand they are part of authentic speech.
That shift from rigid rules to fluid language is significant.
Indeed, embracing natural variations truly helps.
When you start understanding authentic speech.
But bridging school English with real life presents unique difficulties.
What are the primary obstacles learners face?
Many struggle specifically with real-time listening and spontaneous speaking.
So, moving beyond classroom theory is the hurdle.
Exactly, the practical application often surprises.
Where do these challenges usually first appear?
Often in the unexpected sounds of everyday language.
You mean, actual sound surprises?
Yes, the difference between taught sounds and natural speech is startling.
How so, specifically?
Textbooks often present words in isolation, perfectly enunciated.
And in reality, that's not the case.
Natural conversation blends sounds, alters them significantly.
Does this make decoding difficult?
Absolutely. Learners struggle to recognize familiar words.
Because of these unexpected phonetic changes?
Precisely, it creates a moment of genuine bewilderment.
Like a sudden auditory disconnect?
It is almost a "wait, what was that?" moment.
How does this impact listening confidence?
It can be quite discouraging initially, fostering self-doubt.
Does it make learners hesitate to speak out?
Yes, fearing their own pronunciation might sound unnatural.
So, sound surprises lead to vocal apprehension?
Often they certainly do.
Beyond just individual sounds, what's next?
The musicality of language, voice pitch variations, is another struggle.
How does that differ from what's learned?
School lessons often simplify pitch patterns.
But real life isn't so simple.
Natural speech has complex expressive contours.
What kind of expressive contours?
The rise and fall convey emotions, intent, even sarcasm.
And that's hard to grasp?
Yes, misinterpreting pitch changes can alter meaning entirely.
So, tone really matters then?
Significantly more than just the words themselves.
Does this cause misunderstandings?
Definitely, subtle shifts are easily missed by non-native speakers.
What's the challenge for learners?
Conveying their own subtle intent precisely.
And feeling heard accurately?
Exactly, it's a layer of complexity many overlook.
This impacts effective communication greatly.
It creates a common barrier.
From pitch, we move to how words link up.
Indeed, the word linking phenomenon or connected speech is crucial.
What exactly is that?
Words don't stay separate in swift natural talk.
They blend together?
Yes, often with sounds changing, disappearing, or merging.
Like Gunnerforth going to?
Precisely, that's a familiar example of elision.
Are there others?
Did you eat yet? Becomes did you eat yet? Very quickly.
That's a huge difference from textbook phrases.
It requires a new kind of listening agility.
So, it's about decoding these blended sounds?
Yes, and anticipating them to comprehend quickly.
What happens if you can't?
It creates a constant struggle for rapid comprehension.
Leaving you a step behind?
Always trying to catch up.
And that must be exhausting.
Mentally very draining for learners.
Beyond sounds, how about selecting the right words?
The lexical selection challenges are quite common.
What does that entail?
Knowing a word doesn't mean knowing its proper context.
So, usage matters more than just definition?
Significantly, formal words in casual chat sound odd.
Can you give an example?
Saying commence instead of start in a casual conversation.
That would stand out.
Or using slang in a highly professional setting.
So, it's about social appropriateness?
Exactly, and understanding subtle nuances in meaning.
Does this risk misinterpretation?
Yes, or at least sounding awkward and unnatural.
So, choosing vocabulary is a minefield?
For many it certainly is.
If word choice is flexible, is grammar too?
Informal grammatical adaptations are definitely a challenge.
Are you saying grammar rules bend?
In natural spontaneous speech they often do.
How does this manifest?
People omit subjects, use sentence fragments, or split infinitives regularly.
Things strictly avoided in school?
Precisely, school emphasizes prescriptive rules.
But real life is descriptive?
It reflects how people actually speak.
What's the dilemma for learners?
They cling to rigid rules, fearing any deviation.
So, they sound overly formal?
And often unnatural, stifling spontaneous flow.
This hinders fluid conversation?
Definitely does, creating hesitation.
So, grammar isn't always fixed in practice?
Not in everyday verbal exchanges.
All these factors must make listening extremely hard.
Auditory understanding struggles are a major bottleneck.
What makes it so difficult?
The combination of fast speech, unfamiliar accents, and new colloquialisms.
All happening at once?
Yes, it's a constant, rapid decoding process.
And missing one part unravels the whole?
Often leading to gaps in comprehension.
So, you feel lost mid-conversation?
That's a very common experience for learners.
It must be mentally draining?
The mental fatigue from continuous effort is immense.
And frustrating?
Incredibly so, causing a sense of inadequacy.
So, listening hurdles affect more than just understanding?
They impact overall engagement and confidence.
When listening is tough, speaking must be terrifying.
Vocal expression barriers are indeed significant.
What contributes to this fear?
The anxiety of making sound mistakes, choosing the wrong words.
And the grammar?
Fearing incorrect sentence structures in real-time exchanges.
So, perfectionism is the enemy here.
Often, yes, it paralyzes learners, leading to silence.
They'd rather not speak than make an error?
That's a very prevalent mindset.
This becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy?
A cycle of fear reinforcing inaction and missed opportunities.
So, the primary challenge is overcoming self-consciousness?
It's a huge psychological hurdle.
And crucial to progress, I imagine?
Absolutely fundamental to achieving fluidity.
Beyond spoken language, what about reading?
Engaging with eclectic written materials poses new challenges.
What do you mean by eclectic?
Moving from structured academic texts to varied online content.
Like news articles versus social media posts.
Exactly, different genres demand different reading skills.
Are there specific difficulties?
Encountering unfamiliar jargon, internet slang, highly opinionated styles.
Things not found in textbooks?
Rarely, and certainly not with the same frequency.
So, traditional education is insufficient?
It doesn't prepare learners for the full spectrum of modern text.
Does this affect comprehension?
It can, leading to misinterpretations or confusion.
So, critical reading skills are key here?
They are, especially for digital literacy.
And writing beyond essays?
Crafting rapid digital correspondence is a distinct skill.
What does that involve?
The need for concise, clear and context-specific writing.
In what forms?
Text messages, instant chats, short emails, quick social media replies.
This is different from formal compositions?
Very much so. Brevity and tone are paramount.
What are the common dilemmas?
Balancing being brief with maintaining absolute clarity.
And the tone?
Achieving an informal tone without sounding disrespectful or rude.
So, it's a tightrope walk?
It requires careful thought and practice.
Another new skill for real-world English?
Yes, often neglected in traditional curricula.
What about in professional settings?
Handling office discussions or workplace talk adds layers of complexity.
Such as?
Understanding specific office jargon, implied requests, unwritten rules.
So, it's not just about the words?
It's also subtle power dynamics in conversations, meeting protocols.
Can misinterpretations have consequences?
Absolutely, misreading a polite suggestion as optional.
Leading to problems?
Potentially impacting team dynamics or career progression.
So, cultural and professional literacy is key?
Both are vital for effective workplace interaction.
School English clearly has its limits, then?
Yes, academic English often proves too formal for daily use.
How does that limitation show up?
It's excellent for analytical tasks, research, structured arguments.
But less useful for social situations?
Ridiculously rigid for casual social or practical needs.
So, feeling overqualified yet underprepared?
That's a common sentiment for many advanced learners.
Struggling with casual small talk despite high grades?
Precisely, it creates a communicative mismatch.
This must be very frustrating.
It causes a disconnect between perceived and actual competence.
and affects confidence, too.
Making people question their years of study.
Beyond language, culture presents its own traps.
Intercultural misunderstandings are indeed prevalent.
How do these arise?
Different cultures express politeness, directness, and humor uniquely.
Even when using the same English words?
Yes, the underlying cultural framework differs greatly.
What can happen?
Jokes can fall completely flat. Unintentional offense can occur.
Or misinterpreting silence.
Exactly, what's respectful in one culture might be rude in another.
So, language and culture are inseparable.
They are deeply intertwined. You can't have one without the other.
This requires learning more than just words?
It demands cultural sensitivity and awareness.
Beyond cultural nuances, what about diverse speech patterns?
Coping with novel speech patterns or unfamiliar accents is demanding.
English has so many accents globally.
Indeed, from British to Australian to Indian and many more.
And school usually focuses on one or two.
Typically, a standard American or British pronunciation is taught.
What's the challenge then?
The initial shock and difficulty understanding other diverse pronunciations.
It's like starting over with listening?
It feels that way, requiring significant auditory adaptability.
So, adaptability is key?
Absolutely crucial for global communication.
And practice with different accents must help?
It's essential for developing a truly flexible ear.
All these factors must feed back into speaking.
They do, contributing to the challenge of conquering verbal reticence.
The internal battle you mentioned earlier?
Yes, knowing the rules versus actually daring to use them publicly.
What's at the core of this reluctance?
Primarily the deep-seated fear of judgment or making errors.
Or not being fully understood?
Exactly, the thought of miscommunication is intimidating.
So, it's a major psychological barrier?
One of the largest for many language learners.
How does one begin to overcome this?
By gradually stepping outside comfort zones.
Even if you struggle, you still need to communicate.
That's why methods for seeking elucidation are invaluable.
Asking for clarification, you mean?
Yes, but doing it tactfully, not just saying what? Repeatedly.
Why is that important?
Repeated abrupt what? Can break rapport and feel impolite, /.
So, after discussing the challenges, what are our solutions?
We need practical steps for real-world English.
Specifically for communication effectiveness?
Yes, and crucial pronunciation tips too.
How do we bridge that school-to-life gap?
It involves embracing different learning approaches.
Like moving beyond just textbooks?
Exactly. Let's focus on actionable advice.
What is the first actionable step?
Begin by engaging with authentic English sources.
What exactly qualifies as /authentic input /?
It's any real-world material created by native speakers.
Such as podcasts or news articles.
Yes, also blogs, social media, and online videos.
How does this differ from classroom materials?
It offers natural conversational styles and diverse topics.
So, it exposes us to varying registers?
Precisely. You hear English as it is actually spoken.
Does this help with understanding different accents?
Definitely. It broadens your auditory perception naturally.